KCRW Santa Monica. I can't keep this up for long, Natalie. I'm Deirdre O'Donoghue. It's Nat from KCRW, and I have with me in the performance studio from 10,000 Maniacs, from upstate New York, from heaven, I sometimes think, Natalie Merchant, who is at the Yamaha acoustic piano. I'll have to go in the other room and get the credits. No, I'll read the credits afterwards. I'll do them separately so that David L. Abel is the person who made it possible for us to have this Yamaha baby grand piano here.
And Roger Nicholas has left his piano tuner business
He's the one who makes sure that all the strings are in the right places. Natalie Merchant is the one who's going to weave her magic on them. This is Natalie. Thanks a lot for coming. This is a rare treat to have you doing something acoustic with us.
Thank you for inviting me. I had no idea I was going to do this.
Well, it's always fun to be able to spring surprises on people. So why don't we spring some surprises on people and have you...
Well, probably just since I'm kind of coming in cold, I was thinking I might just do a song that I've been doing just for practice, because I can do it in different keys.
Perfect.
And I've taught myself how to play the piano, so I'm just now learning a little technique from books. And this, let me see. Okay, this is in the key of A, and that's interesting, A. I remember 2 years ago on tour that a friend of mine, Gary Smith, and I were going to Boston for a show, and we stopped in a colonial village, and there they had printers, and they were printing all sorts of primers for children that day, and we bought an alphabet book that had been written probably in the late 1800s. And A is an asylum for the deaf and dumb, B is a banker who had a great sum, C was the colonel dressed in lace, D was the drunkard who had a red face. And then just a few months ago, the woman who lives in the apartment below me has a 2-year-old child and said she'd really like a lullaby. So I wrote a little song that went with the primer. And this is, let's see. It's really gentle and it builds slowly. I like it. In a cab a couple of weeks ago. I was speaking to this Chinese man, and he had some sort of religious object, Buddhist object, hanging from his rearview mirror. And I couldn't remember how many letters there were in the alphabet because we were discussing the difference between characters which are used in their language and the alphabet in English, and I was very embarrassed because he had to correct me. I think I said there were 24 letters, and he said, "Oh no, 26."
Well, you're thinking of the Greek alphabet, Natalie. I'm sure. I love the ideographic alphabets.
When we do Cherry Tree Live, we do a projection on a black screen behind us, or a black drape, depending on which stage. And we project the first verse of Cherry Tree translated into Japanese characters. And I think it really it's pretty obvious what it does. It's, if you were an illiterate person, then probably the letters of our alphabet would make absolutely no sense, no matter what combination they were in. And it's the way I feel when I'm walking around Chinatown in New York or San Francisco.
Where it's
Toronto.
completely foreign.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, it always seems somehow to make some kind of a sense. There's a sense of a picture there to me. I like it. You just said something that really startled me about being completely self-taught on piano. At what point did you start teaching yourself?
Well, I think I took about 6 months of lessons when I was 10 years old. And I was a very timid girl, and I was very frustrated, and I didn't like the way my stomach felt when I had to go to practice, and I didn't like being in front of a teacher. And so I quit. My mother was really upset about that, but I didn't really buy a piano until I was 22, I think. So just the past 3 years.
And you just sat down and said, I'm going to do this?
Yeah, because my teacher said I always was very good at improvising, but I was just terrible at reading music, and so that's what happened.
So when you come around to writing songs now, do you compose on the piano? Do you hear the music in your head? Do you do the notations?
I have an interesting style of notation. So I Xeroxed a exercise book with a diagram of a piano, black and white keys. Then I have different colored magic markers or crayons, and I just mark where my fingers were on the keyboard. And if it's the verse, it's purple, and if it's the chorus, it's blue, and if it's a bridge or an introduction, it's green. And that's how I communicate what I'm playing to other people, because I can't read music.
And does the rest of the band understand your language?
Dennis understands it. He plays the piano.
See there, it's almost like the ideographic languages. It's just, what would you call it with colors? Polygraphic language? Polychromatic language. Polychromatic notation.
But for the new album, a song called Jubilee that I'm doing is pretty complex. I want an arrangement done with about 6 different instruments, and I had to send it to a friend of mine who's doing the arrangement in London. And he said it was a very ingenious way of notating, but he said he's having a difficult time figuring out the time signature and the rhythm of the song, because all I really spell out is where my fingers are, but I don't exactly have a way of describing what my fingers are doing. So.
Or at what particular pace. What did you get on the phone with him then?
No, I sent him a tape.
Oh, perfect, of course. That's easy as well.
But
well, how's progress coming on this new album?
We're doing half the album before Christmas and half after. I think we'll do 8 songs before Christmas. The rest haven't been written yet. I was really ill for a couple months, so that was the time we were scheduled to write. And now it feels like we've only been writing for about 5 weeks since I recovered.
During that time, as I understood it, you had to rest your voice, basically, or you couldn't appear and perform. Did it ever occur to you, because it really took a long time, we were concerned about you, did you ever think that perhaps you wouldn't continue to be a performer, or stop to wonder what you might do if you didn't? Did anything else catch your attention? Or
I just decided that we would never tour at the same pace, because that's what made me ill. There's just 10 months of being in a different place every day is just... And the tax it put on my body of dancing the way that I do and not eating properly. I'm a pretty strict vegetarian, and it's hard to be in Germany and get sautéed tofu every day for breakfast. So I was living on bread, and I was living on bread pretty much. Cereals. So my brother had spinal meningitis, and I had the same symptoms, and we were actually in the same hospital wing for a week, both in isolation. It was really odd, because all the nurses were coming in with disposable gowns and masks over their faces, and everything that touched our bodies had to be put into these red hazard waste bags. And I was writing a song about my Aunt Eva, and she was hospitalized periodically. She was 70, she died last year, but she had kidney failure, so she had dialysis treatments, and she also had heart trouble and a hip replacement, and her body was pretty much a disaster for the last 7 years of her life, and she lived here in Los Angeles. And I was working on the song right when I got ill, so I was trying to really remember the impression that the hospital made upon me when I went to visit her. And I think it was important to be there. And they also, when I started to recover, they let me play the piano in the auditorium of the hospital. And it was almost as if I could feel all the pain in the building when I was playing the piano. Everything I wrote there was very sad.
Ooh. Yeah, hospitals are not good places. They're places you go to get sick more than anything, more than get well.
It was like God's waiting room, because most of the people in this hospital were very old.
Well, I'm glad I've got you here today. I'm much happier to have you here at KCRW than anywhere else, I think. In the when the LA Times, when they talked about this series of shows that you're doing here at the Wiltern, made a comment about how the last time you were through town, you were kind of the alternative rock favorites, and now that the group, 10,000 Maniacs, has gone on to being top 40 faves. And I wonder what that's been like for you,
Wasn't
making that
fault.
leap. Well, what do you mean by that? Who's
Well,
culpable
it wasn't
then?
like we ever strive for a top 40 audience, but I'm not really an elitist. I don't really think that our music should only appeal to a select few. But it's really surprising for me still to be singing a song like What's the Matter Here and have entire rows of 14-year-old girls singing along, and I just never imagined that would be part of our audience, but I'm really pleased. And even on the next album, I've written a song that I'm directing at that age group even. So, but it's a very serious song. I think a lot of the video songs that was mentioned last night about the San Francisco songs, the 3 or 4 songs that had videos attached to them got overwhelming response. Like The Weathers is a pop fave among the kids.
Very broad-based favorite, I think. More than pop, goes way, way beyond. It's a beautiful song. Do you want to do something from In My Tribe? Have you got one from that album?
I could do Campfire Song. I think. I haven't done any of these old songs very much.
Alight to sail my mountain with cold veins and
long since we played these.
Did you ever consider changing the name of the group? Was there a lot of pressure put on you to do that?
Well, there was pressure even inside the band. We thought that it was misrepresenting us and that so many people would come to see our group on recommendation after years of seeing posters and ads in town, thinking that we were just a hardcore band from Cleveland and just having absolutely no idea who we were and what we were. And that was a little disillusioning after a while. And then when the record company said, well, people won't play this album with your name, so you better put a cover on it. That was the coaxing behind doing Peace Train, which is a song that we enjoyed and we had been doing live anyway for a couple of years, but it was a little insulting that was the strategy, that radio programmers were so conservative that they might not play our album because of our name.
Unfortunately, in commercial radio, it seems to be all too true. Although I should say, on any radio programmer's behalf, that the mountain of material that's constantly being released, there's no way to listen to everything.
And I can see how they might, in the stack, see an album that says 10,000 Maniacs on the cover and just say, well, I'll listen to this sometime next month. And
right, that goes in the when I have time pile,
Yeah.
which unfortunately happens, but happily, your management and your record company put a lot of effort into making people aware. I think with the knowledge that a lot of us had, that all people had to do was hear the music, and they would certainly fall in love with it, as has definitely turned out to be the case. I'm pleased to say for
our
you.
record company is, I think, very unique in that, with a few exceptions, they seem to hire, or I don't know if hire is the right word, but they sign a lot of groups just on the merit of their material and the strength of their artistry rather than what their selling potential is. When they signed Tracy Chapman, I don't think anyone thought that she would be selling 6 million albums in 6 months.
That was a surprise to a lot of people.
To everyone, and I think they just signed her on the strength of her voice and her songwriting. And that's the same thing they did for 10,000 Maniacs, and they had no intention of really trying to change us, and they haven't tried.
You were involved with Tracy Chapman real early on in some of her major debut performances. I think you appeared with her. Were you involved at all with her signing with Elektra?
Oh, no. I heard her album before it came out through just... I'm good friends with a lot of people at the company, and they just said, well, here's someone you really definitely have to hear. And I just decided that I wanted to help her in the same way that a group like REM helped us. I wanted her to tour with us, and I wanted to talk about her in interviews and just introduce her that way.
You were quite a booster.
And I heard that she was playing with some folk guitar player, singer, I don't remember who it was, a man she was playing with in London, and I thought that wasn't exactly the way she should be introduced. I didn't think she was a strictly folk audience artist. And so we asked her management, and we asked her if she'd like to do a solo performance together, and she was the headline, and I was just I warmed up for her, and it was the first time I'd ever played the piano in public, and it was terrifying.
Not quite. I read you say that in
that's
an interview.
right. I forgot about
the
the
McCabe's night, the Texas hotel night
The
at
Texas
McCabe's
night.
a year ago in May, which was
but I
a
mean,
very
by
exciting
myself.
night. That's true. 'Cause you
That
were
night there
from
were a
down
lot
in
of
Mildred.
friends.
Right.
And-
That was a family affair that night.
Flower that night alone.
Absolutely.
Dirty cries.
Thank you, Michael.
These are the words.
Well, have you had a chance to talk with Tracy Chapman since this amazing
Not
popularity
since
has
her
occurred?
explosion, no.
She's got to be pretty surprised by it. I know she's pretty much
She must be overwhelmed.
canceled interviews. She got real sick of interviews real fast, from what I could understand, and I think...
It's just happened at the speed of light. There's just no way that she could have adjusted to it in a healthy way, I don't think. I think she's going to have to take time off to just step back and look at it all, and then I just think it's going to be really difficult to write another album. It'll take her a little while to just retire from it.
Well, it is kind of a juggernaut. It's an uncontrollable force when it comes at you at whatever level. How has it affected you in terms of, I mean, you made reference earlier to being kind of a shy and timid person, just in terms of being with a piano teacher, and yet you're very composed. You're completely in charge of yourself, it seems, when you're on stage, when you're performing with an audience.
Well, I think that just comes from doing it for so long. I started singing with group when I was 16 years old, and after so many years, I think I've just acclimated myself to that situation. I do get nervous occasionally, but...
Are you aware of the audience, or is it do you really just kind of shut them out and make them not
I'm
be
very
there?
aware of the audience.
Yeah.
I used to get disappointed if they didn't respond quickly by singing along or dancing or moving in some way. If they just wanted to sit and scrutinize, I'd be really nervous, but now I try to look for the few people that are being outwardly affected by it, and then I just kind of try to get a communication with them. I still go out and sit on the edge of the stage and sing, because then I can't have the glare from the lights and I can see the people I'm singing to.
And be really in touch with them.
I think it's more intimidating to play in a club in South Carolina to 25 people on a Wednesday night and then to do something like the Wiltern Theater with, I don't know how large it is, a few thousand people. That's less intimidating to me.
Somehow there's more distance there. Yeah, I could understand that one. That one makes
We
sense.
used to get so embarrassed. We had this policy that we wouldn't play if there were less people in the audience than there were on stage, and we actually had to cancel a couple of shows because that was the situation.
That had to have been very early on. Long time ago. You got another song you can play for us? Do an instrumental. You were noodling around with some stuff when...
A noodle, were you?
Yeah.
Play one of the new songs that I've been working on, actually. So I feel more comfortable doing something I can sing with right now. Except I already decided I can't sing the chorus and play it at the same time, because we've been doing this with the band. Dennis has learned how to play this. It's kind of, as soon as Dennis learns to play the piano part, I abandon it, and it's... Then I go to the microphone and I never have to touch the piano again. Okay, I'll talk about this for a second while I try to remember how to play it. I got a letter from a woman who saw us play in Washington, D.C., and she's a chairperson for a group called the Children's Defense Fund. And one of their large projects is to educate children in junior high school and high school about the difficulties of teenage pregnancy and how to avoid that situation. And she was wondering if there was any way that I could help their group. And so I wrote a song from the perspective of a girl who's just found out that she's going to have a baby. And she's obviously too young. She's still a child herself. And it's called Eat for Two. And baby bed, baby blankets and baby shoes, baby slippers, baby spoons, walls of baby blue. Dream child in my head is a nightmare born in a borrowed bed. I know lightning strikes again. It struck me once, then struck me dead. My folly grows inside of me. they couldn't mend, you know where this will lead. To rockabye in the nursery, for the kicking one inside of me. When the boy was a boy, the girl was a girl, they found each other in a wicked world. Strong in some respect, but she couldn't stand for the way he begged and gave in. Pride is for men. Young girls should run and hide instead. Risk the game by taking dares with yes. The chorus is I'll lead for two, walk for two, breathe for two now. And at the end she sings walk for two, I'm stumbling, breathe for two, well I can't breathe. And then at the end she says 5 months, how it grows, 5 months now I begin to show. But it's a really quiet voice, and then it fades out with this. And the way Jerry's playing the drums is very tight and nervous sounding. And I'm sorry I made a mistake in it. It's so new. I just wrote it like 3 weeks ago. So
No, that's a very uncanny and special ability that you have to get so completely into the heart of so many situations. I think it's one of the hallmarks of the music that you and 10,000 Maniacs have been doing. That I think if I were to come back at some point, it would almost be like finding an anthropological record.
That's exactly what I was trying to do. Is I was thinking that so many people who are involved in entertainment and the arts in a lot of different types of media aren't telling the truth about what is happening now. They're not really portraying our times truthfully, and I don't want to be among the people doing that. I don't want to misinform people at either this point or 10, 20, 100 years from now. Who knows how long a CD disc or a DAT disc is that what they're called?
Yeah, just DATs, yeah. Or a planet, long. Sometimes I wonder about the planet.
What is that, digital audio tape?
Digital audio tape.
I haven't even seen one yet, but
they're little tiny.
It comes from this. I was sitting in my room playing the piano and going, oh, that's a good note, and then it becomes a song, and then we bring it to the studio, and we play with it for 3 months, and then it comes out on vinyl and on tapes and discs and everything, and just the technology that goes from just such a human interaction as a thought turned into a musical impression, and then suddenly there's just this, and then when you start thinking of the massive industry that sells and promotes,
Marketing.
oh, it's scary. It's really
and
scary.
then relies upon you. I mean, and you become in and of yourself a cottage industry for people who are dependent upon you in some way. All those, the different people at the record company, the people at the magazines who are going to write about you.
Mm-hmm. It's a massive industry, isn't it?
And on and on and on. Well, it gets pretty interwoven, I think.
And then occasionally there's something the thing that's most frustrating me is that some music doesn't start with this intimate beginning. That I feel like that's what's so genuine about our music. It's every single song begins with someone in the band at home really feeling the song. It's not like we're sitting home calculating, well, how many beats per minute should we make this one so that it can be played in certain dance clubs, and what's our demographic here? And will the record company invest money in this if only if we write a certain type of lyric? And it just seems like...
Is there any pressure on you guys from the elements of the industry that you're involved with to think in that way now that you've achieved a certain level you expected to?
None whatsoever. It seems like now that we've achieved the gold record, we've sort of proved that what we're doing appeals to some people in this world, and since we have an audience, they assume that we know what we're doing and we can just continue making these albums the way we want. I remember just last week I was in New York City and I stopped in and saw like the chairman of the company, Bob Krasnow, and he said, "Have any tapes?" And I went into his office and played him the most rough demo tapes that you could imagine, just myself at home with a 4-track machine. And he was just so thrilled with it. It was very strange. This is a man who has a multi-million-dollar company and just doesn't have to bother with hearing demo tapes and talking to the artists. But I think he prides himself on his connection with the
reputation that way, of taking care of his people.
So I think we made the best choice with being with Elektra.
Kind of the song you can play.
This is that song I mentioned, Jubilee, that I'm having an arrangement written for. My fingers are doing very complicated things, so my mouth has to do the same, and sometimes they don't cooperate with each other.
He's God's mad disciple, a righteous title for the word he heard. He's so misunderstood. To him the world's defiled. In Lot he sees a likeness there. He swears this Sodom will burn down. Alone in the night he marks the words of the preacher. God is feeling your every pain. Near sacred blood there's a dance hall where Tyler Glenn saw a black girl and a white boy kissing shamelessly. Black hands on white shoulders, white hands on black shoulders dancing. And you know it's more. Boys at the Jubilee slowly sink into brown bag whiskey drinking and reeling on their feet. Girls at the Jubilee in low-cut dresses yield to rough caresses, and the manhandling. Black hands on white shoulders, white hands on black shoulders dancing.
once more. Then it gets very violent at the end. I can't really imitate it on the piano, but through the tall blades of grass he heads for the Jubilee, with a bucket in his right hand full of rags soaked in gasoline. He lifts the shingles there, slips the rags there underneath. He strikes the matchstick on the backside and watches the rags at night. He climbs the bell tower of the sacred blood to watch the flames rising higher, now toward the sea. And then sirens race toward the scene, and the lyrics unfinished. But pretty much Tyler Glenn is a custodian at a Pentecostal church, and he's handicapped. He's a little mentally disturbed, and he's very much influenced by the Old Testament. And he finds that next door to this is it's set in the present, though the music will maybe be a little Southern Gothic. It might feel as if it's happening in the 30s, but he sees a black girl and a white boy who are kissing outside of this dance hall, and he decides that he's going to burn it down. And in the song, people just run out of the building. No one's actually killed, but there's one line that I don't know if I'll use it, but wasn't it God that led Puritans in Salem do what they did to the unfaithful? So there's another connection. I was looking for all sorts of references, fire and water, and also there's a Bible reference to in the church basement, hear children gospel citing Matthew 17:15, and Matthew 17:15 is Lord have mercy, in the King James Version, Lord have mercy upon my son, for he is a lunatic and is sore vexed, for oft times he falleth into the fire and oft times into the water. And it was very strange because I had this old tattered Bible, and I was just randomly looking for any passage from the Bible that might correlate with the song, and I thought Matthew 17, just out of the top of my head, and I opened it, and I looked down to Matthew 17:15, and there it was. So I like it when coincidences like that happen. But the song is pretty brutal, and I know that the band has had a few discussions about it, but we're willing to put it on the album.
That's a very powerful introduction to it, Natalie. It's a very dense song. I mean, the layers
It's very long, too. I just played half of it. It's almost like an epic. Because we decided also that, back to the technology that's being introduced, that an album doesn't have to be 10 songs on two sides of a piece of vinyl anymore. That so many people are buying, I think 19% of the music that's being bought is still being bought on vinyl format. The rest is being bought on CDs and cassettes. Which
exactly.
are much longer. So that it's possible for us to record a very long epic song like this in addition to the standard 10,000 Maniacs fare. This ending of the song, it's mostly going to be stringed instrument, guitar, cello, maybe banjo, and at the end there'll be kettle drums coming in. There's that kind of rhythm at the end, but it's hard to just do it on piano. There's got to be. I don't want really any electronic devices on this song. It's all going to be done with We were also discussing using ancient instruments, a lute, and some kind of reeded instrument that might be interesting, because the thought of using a reeded instrument, say like an oboe or a bassoon or clarinet, we didn't want it to sound too much like Peter and the Wolf.
Mm-hmm.
Because the bassoon would represent, or it would suggest the character of Tyler. But that's too much like, and here's the wolf.
Where's Tyler?
But I still love that instrument.
I wonder if you there are, in that part of the country, there are a lot of really primitive instruments still in use in the Appalachians. I mean, there's a lot of very
Also, I
simple culture.
didn't really want to pinpoint an area either, because it's not a southern problem at all. Racism in this country is widespread.
Prevalent.
It's everywhere.
All too prevalent.
There was talk about doing a musical based on the life of Frida Kahlo that was being done by a Philadelphia theater group, but that's what I wrote this for, but it just didn't lulling kind of melody, but just when the thought of it, it's Joe Boyd actually was the connection, because a woman named, I shouldn't even say her name because I can remember his first name, Hillary, who directed Papi Nangena as a play of an South African woman that was an incredible piece of theater. I saw it in London, and she's directing this proposed piece on Frida Kahlo. But the day that Joe called me and asked me if I was at all interested, I was overwhelmed. I thought, this is something that only a Mexican woman could possibly be able to do. You'd have to live in that country. You'd have to, because Frida was so absolutely nationalistic and she is such a feminist, and it would just be so important that. And I thought, well, then I'd have to collaborate with someone like that, and I'd have to live in Mexico for a while and all this. But I sat down and just wrote that, just sort of fantasizing about it. But not much is, with the album happening and all this, there hasn't been any more talk about it.
Have you decided who's going to produce the next album? Who you'll be working with?
We're working with Peter Asher again.
What's that collaborative process like for you? That must have, you worked with Peter and with Joe Boyd, and
well, I think if it's effective, it's like having an additional member to the group who has equal say in everything. If it's effective and you respect their opinions about things, and he or she, whoever's producing, will respect your opinions. And I think Peter's pretty diplomatic. He tries everything that we suggest, and it seemed to work well with the last album, and we didn't want to go through an introductory period with a new person.
Well, we got a little bit of a taste of Peter as producer in the interactive process on another cover song that you did. I was surprised when I found you doing cover songs. You did the Peace Train, and on the B side of the British single "Don't Talk" was actually a
very
McCartney
much
song.
off key.
I have to tell you, Natalie, it is one of the most requested songs on Snap. You are so hard on yourself. She's worse than I am on myself. Like, this is great. I've found someone who's harder than I am. What was it that drew you to that song, or what when you want to do a cover, what makes you head in that direction?
You know, it's funny. It was Georgina and David, these friends of Michael, and you might know them too. They live in Winnipeg, and we were touring there, and I was really at the end of my rope touring in Manitoba. In the middle of February. It's not a pleasant experience. We were playing 2 nights in this club, and so they invited us over to their house, and they started playing all these old videos of Beatles, and they had this one of I'm so terrible when it comes to names. Who's the girl who recorded it?
Mary Hopkins.
Mary Hopkins. There was a tape of her video for it, lip syncing to it with an acoustic guitar, and
I'd love to see that.
it sort of stimulated in the very hidden area of my brain, a very dark area of my brain, the memory of that song when I was a little girl, and I always loved that song. And so I think David gave me a copy of the single, and then just a joke, I kept on saying, oh, let's do it, and then Jerry worked up with that little snare part, and it just turned into a joke that we were just doing in the studio one day, and Peter turned on the tape, and then we needed a B-side one time, so...
Well, I'll tell you, the people who are listening to Snap, listening to KCRW love it.
I think it was good because 10,000 Maniacs usually don't really enjoy themselves as much as they could, or we don't enjoy ourselves as much as we can through our music. I think we feel like we have a very serious side. Maybe My Sister Rose is one of the light, and Like the Weather are the lightest songs that we've ever done, I think.
Well, you do have a tendency to tackle some pretty weighty topics.
So I think that it was a release for us to be able to do a song like Goodbye.
To goof around. We'll have to keep goosing you because they're fun. I like that.
We used to do a really fun version of Burning Airlines Give You So Much More.
Oh, that. Oh, there's got to be a tape of that somewhere. I've got to get my hands on that. That would be...
Sweet Regina's gone to China. Cause like
He's an artist who isn't covered as much as I would think that he would be. You think people are daunted by the image?
See George Michael's doing Blank Frank. Blank Frank, like cold as an iceberg. I remember listening to all those. I had the largest collection of obscure 8-tracks that you have ever seen. I had about 6 Roxy Music albums and Brian Eno solo albums.
You mean those things that went in the car,
8 tracks.
the cartridges?
Yeah, I could get them at the drugstore, the closeout bin in the drugstore for 2 for $3.50. And so I had Taking Tiger Mountain and Before and After Science and Here Come the Warm Jets and Another Green World, and I was only 14 years old, and I would just go buy these records because I liked the covers, and they just looked a lot more interesting than the Eagles' Greatest Hits and Elton John tapes. And I'd bring them home, and my sister and I had one 8-track player between the two of us that we got for Christmas. We had to share. And she liked listening to Stephen Bishop a lot and Fleetwood Mac. And then every time she'd leave the room, I'd pop in, bang, bang, and I was like cold as an iceberg. And she'd say, you don't really like that music. You're just trying to annoy me.
I know that reaction all too well. People giving you very quizzical looks and saying, you don't really like that, do you? That doesn't make... That's turn that off, would you, please?
I remember I had Nova Realistic headphones that were really about half the size of my head. I remember one camping trip we went on, my brother Jude and I had the portable tape deck. At that time, I'd kind of...
Progressed.
Yeah. I had a battery pack for it, and we were out by the outhouse because it's the only place with electric lights and an outlet, because the battery pack had run out and we had to plug it in somewhere because we wanted to hear these tapes. And I remember sitting outside the outhouse with Jude playing these Brian Eno albums on 8-track.
I'm going to have to send him a copy of this tape. Stories I've heard.
Also, we had Fire Sign Theater tapes, and as far as being real obnoxious and memorizing comedy tapes, Fire Sign Theater, that was what we memorized.
It's like it's a different language. It's an additional language. I mentioned before about one's ability to speak Monty Python as one, or to speak Fire Sign Theater as one might speak French or Spanish or Russian or Chinese or whatever.
It's really similar to memorizing entire scripts from plays, because that's what you do after a while. But it was a good way to confound our parents. They had no idea what we were doing.
I don't think
why
you were
we were doing that.
a normal upstate New York child, Natalie. And I certainly know that you're not a run-of-the-mill performer. I like very much the walls that you're pushing back. I think with it, I have a sense of you always being willing to challenge whatever is there on the horizon and just it with your own. I want to call it just a vision, because that's just the one perception. But whatever it is you hear and see and think, quite touched
It's pretty
by that.
easy for us at this point, because it seems like once you achieve a certain amount of, I guess you call it fame or success or notoriety, people who are total strangers treat you as if they know you because they've seen you on the TV, or they've heard your songs and they know your lyrics, and they feel like they know part of you in a way they do. There's an immediate intimacy that you can feel with a grocery clerk in New York that you never could achieve if you were a total stranger who had a job, maybe being a practical nurse and or a taxi driver or anything else. People seem, and so it's easier for me to sometimes be helpful to some people. Sometimes just talking to them is helpful, and I've never really understood that, but it seems to work. I know just in my own town, a lot of the older women who run the thrift stores and run the credit union where I do my banking and things like that, it makes them really happy when I come in and talk to them, because they feel this pride in the fact that 10,000 Maniacs have achieved something, and they're from the same area that they are, thus their area can produce something of worth, so it makes them feel better. And the kids in my neighborhood are really proud, and they'll come over and ring the bell and say, "Can you bring down the gold record? I want to show it to my friend." And like my friend down the street has a 10-year-old daughter, and when she had her birthday party this summer, they came over and asked if I would come over just to prove that I really did live on the street and I really did know them. And it was fun. It's because I remember when I was a little girl being a wee tot at the girls' club. That's where we learned to knit and make. We used to make potato chip cookies. It was so gross. We used to take bags of potato chips
Sounds
and
really
crush
awful.
them. Yeah, they used to give me indigestion, but they were really fun to make. They were so greasy. But anyway, we had a music teacher who was a volunteer from the local college. She was a really beautiful girl with long, dark hair, and she'd come and play the piano and teach us songs. And then one time, she invited all the girls in Wee Tots to come see her at the little theater. Doesn't it sound like a story from...
Sounds like Thornton W. Burgess, Louisa May Alcott. This is great.
So they asked all the Wee Tots to come down to the little theater and see a dress rehearsal of Butterflies Are Free. It's a pretty progressive play when you're a 6-year-old girl and you come from a very strict Catholic household. But anyway, there she was on stage, and I couldn't believe it was the same girl, and that she actually talked to me, and she knew my name, and she was the star of the stage.
Great.
I remember when we did the video for What's the Matter Here in Jamestown. We did it at the Boys and Girls Club. And this one little girl from Puerto Rico came up to me and said, "I didn't know you lived in Jamestown. I thought you lived in Hollywood." Because she'd seen the weather video on TV.
Well, there's that equation that people seem to make. But you're happy there. You don't have any plans to leave. You like that.
Well, it's comforting, but it's also confining, just because I've been so many places in the world, and it's hard for me to... I stay there mostly because my family, my father's there.
Is it a good place for you to go back to kind of recharge your batteries?
Oh, it's
with
a
all
great
the
place.
traveling? Would seem that would be real comforting, that would be helpful in that sense, as opposed to going to it doesn't seem like a New York or a Hollywood would be real replenishing.
No, if I moved anywhere, it would be further into the country.
I know that feeling.
For the peace and the quiet. I could never live in a city. It's just against my nature. I don't like cars. I
So
don't
do you
like
find
noise.
that you do most of your writing and composing when you're back in that quiet situation?
That's the only time.
Yeah.
Even when I was in the hospital, that how much more quiet can you get than a hospital?
Oh, but it's so tense. It's just such a jangly time. I'm sorry.
At the time, I was weak, but just I'd been in bed for so long, and I remember they'd just taken the IV out of my arm, and my hand was really weak. I couldn't really. But anyway, my father's actually been in the hospital for 2 weeks now with an ulcer, and I just felt like my place was living in Jamestown, and the fact that I could go to the hospital and sit with him for several hours a day, I just felt like it was real important that I could do that with him. And if I lived somewhere far away, if I lived in the Blue Ridge Mountains down in Virginia, I would feel like, oh no, Dad's in the hospital. I have to fly up there and visit him for a half hour and then go home again. It just,
Right.
I don't know. Right now it's my place. And it's really beautiful. I live in the same house that my family's owned for 20 years now. And
Well, upstate New York is a beautiful part of the country, too. It's a beautiful part of the world, period.
you can go swimming in the lake. You don't have to worry about diseases, and you can go skiing, which I like to do, and bicycle all the time. And I like the change of seasons. People get so bored when I talk about how much I love living in
How much you like the weather?
a small
How
rural
about like the weather?
town.
Is that a candidate for playing here? Or is that one too tricky to do solo?
Like the weather? I don't know if I even remember. I remember I tried to doing it at the show with Tracy Chapman, and it sounded like a soap commercial. Doesn't it sound like a soap commercial? Oh, those tiny bubbles. Clean your wash. No, I can't do it. I haven't played that in eons.
Maybe the intro to a child's TV show, but not a soap commercial.
And I can see
Also
the line with the clothespins, the shirt's coming out of the machine.
Dancing, yeah, actually it's cartoony. do 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 do.
I really wish I could play better, because then I could do lots of. Oh. The likes of Maniacs kitchen tables. For my whole life I twisted on a leg in a foreman's tour, and my first English was faster, boys. If you want your pay, barking commands loud and simple, we could all obey, babe. No, I can't do that one.
Can't do the Americans.
No, I never knew how to play that one. I don't want to embarrass myself too much. The only one I feel like I'd be confident doing is trying Verdi Cries again. No, not Mona Lisa.
Would you want to have a crack at that one? And I'll
Okay.
stop cracking my whip.
All right. The man in one
Merchant, thank you so much for coming and being my guest here at KCRW.
I hope I never have to hear this tape.
Well, you never have to if you don't want to.
I'm always so embarrassed when I hear this.
Well, this has been, there's a very nice thing about this station that I like, in that it seems to elicit a lot of, and I've heard this from a lot of people, it elicits a lot of looseness from people, which is not necessarily negative. I think it's an opportunity for a lot of people to come over to your house. It's like, being able to sit in your front room and hang out with you for a while. But I'm still catching for breath after that rendition of Verity Cries, which is on that latest album by 10,000 Maniacs called In My Tribe. You're going to start working on the new one in a few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess sometime in 1989, we can...
Probably in April.
April? Oh, fast.
I'll make a prediction April 5th.
Thank you so much for coming and doing this. I really appreciate it. This has been quite a treat. And thanks to Bob Carlson for taking care of the sound engineering. And I also wanted to say thanks to Michael Meister and Peter Leek for helping put this together.
Michael Meister, my valet.
And chauffeur, personal assistant.
V for valet.
And Maniacs manager, Peter Leek. I wish you, I just wish you everything. You've been bringing me so many good things for such a long time.
Well, thank you for playing this for so long, too.
I hope it all.
And if Michael had never let us have that show at Texas, and there's so many people in Los Angeles that have helped us out long before the K-Rock type stations. I don't know if they even play us here, but long before any of those types of stations were interested, it was Deirdre and Michael, so...
Well, it's our pleasure.
And I still feel most comfortable here anyway.
You're welcome here anytime that you want to come. Next time, where are you going to be recording the album?
Oh, it's about 2 hours out of New York City in the country. It's near Woodstock, but it's not in Woodstock. Yeah. I don't remember the name of the town.
Back on the East Coast, though. Well, next time you come through with the whole band, bring your pals along. And we'll get everybody set up in here and do a full-on 10,000 Maniac show.
That would be fun.
Clearly you're welcome anytime. So I thank you, Natalie Merchant, for being our guest here on Snap on KCRW.
So glad we had this time together.
You're listening to Snap on KCRW.